Chapter 14. Hunter and Soiree woke and headed out of the cave, not before shifting back to their wolf form. To his surprise, she was a beautiful gray wolf, not as large as her human form. She stared at him because he was different. She had never seen any white wolves other than him, and she was mesmerized by his deep blue eyes. The wolves in her pack had brown or black eyes. "We should hunt first before we go back to our village," she said to Hunter. "Why is that?" "You don't know anything about werewolves." "I know enough." Soiree stopped and looked at him. "You're not native to Alaska. You are one of those werewolves from someplace else. Are you a Russian wolf?" "No. Of course not." "Then where are you from?" "You are in the north." "Nevada." "Where is that?" Soiree said, cocking her head to the side. "You've never heard of the Samsa werewolves of Nevada?" Hunter stuck out his chest as if it mattered that he was a werewolf from a prominent pack. It mattered less to Soiree, and it would hold no water with her wild pack. "No. And I wouldn't brag to anyone about it. They don't like your kind in my pack." "What kind is that?" "Spoiled pampered." "What are you doing out here anyway? You look like you don't belong." "I have as much right to be here as any of you. My father is the alpha over all the alphas." "So he's like a king or something?" "Sort of," Hunter said, then raising his nose in the air. "I smell a deer." "A caribou." "Yes, but we call them reindeer. You know the kind that pulls Santa's sleigh." "Who is this Santa?" "Never mind. You wouldn't understand. And she wouldn't understand." Adrian, Hunter's mother, had read him books about Santa Claus, and when he was old enough to hunt, he came face to face with a reindeer when he was tracking it with his father. He begged Wilder not to kill it, but Wilder insisted that one day he could find himself hungry with no food, and he would be compelled to kill it. Today was that day, a day he thought would never come, but he found himself tracking the reindeer. It took all of a minute to surround the deer, and for Hunter to bring it down. He had lightning speed, and he knew how to disguise his scent. He had learned that from the greatest hunter of all, his father Wilder. Stripping the skin and fur from the meat and the meat from the bone, Hunter looked around. Soiree was busy getting her fill of the fresh meat. He took the opportunity to hide some pieces deep in the snow, and then they both dragged the remaining parts in the direction of her cave. They trotted along dragging the meat until they neared the cave. It was a secluded area, and well camouflaged with snow and boulders. "Leave the meat here," Hunter said. "If they kill me or you for bringing me into their lair, then I don't want to make it easy for them to eat." Soiree looked up at Hunter, and then she laughed. It made sense. Why should they benefit from his work, and then kill them with full stomachs? She watched him as he buried the meat. "We can get it later if all is well. Come. We have to walk around these mounds of snow. Let me go first. If the two young wolves smell you, they may attack first without asking any questions," Soiree said, walking behind the fortress of snow and into the mouth of the cave. Then they both shifted. She grabbed the pelts hanging and placed them around her body. Soiree handed a large seal jacket to Hunter, and something to cover his bottom. "You should cover yourself. You don't want them to know how large you are. The werewolves are not the size of you down there." She smiled. "They can be very jealous, especially the older wolf, but don't let his feebleness fool you. They are all cunning and brutal. Don't say too much and don't mention that you are a Samsa." "Why?" "Don't ask any questions now." Hunter was like his mother. He couldn't keep his mouth shut, and he always had to know the why of everything. Before they could enter the main chamber, they were immediately stopped by a young werewolf standing with a broad chest, but not as tall as Hunter. He looked at him suspiciously. "Who told you to bring him here?" We have laws preventing this, the brown-haired werewolf barked at Soiree. She barked back, he's a great hunter. He has instincts that you don't have. He can be an asset to our pack, and he is a stray like you were when I found you. Now get out of my way. The young wolf's eyes wavered up and down, and over Hunter, who met his strong gaze with a stronger one. One day Hunter would be the head alpha, but he wasn't one now. Lower your gaze. Don't look him in the eyes, and for our sake, don't look our alpha in the eyes. It's disrespectful. And don't say a word. Let me talk. As Hunter and Soiree walked closer to the inner sanctum of the cave, they came to an abrupt stop. Sitting on a throne of sticks fashioned together to make a chair, sat an older werewolf with a young female sitting next to him. Her breasts were exposed, and Hunter couldn't help looking at her. Who is this, Soiree, and where is the deer you were sent to bring back? I have it. We left it not far from here, because it was too heavy to carry. The old werewolf looked pleased as he cast Soiree a closed smile. This is a stray I picked up. She turned to Hunter. Bow to our alpha. Hunter did as he had been told. He thought of the teachings of his father. He was in hostile land and in hostile territories. He would give in for now, because the wild werewolves would break or destroy him, so he did as he was told, and lay prostrate on the floor in front of the alpha. Then out strutted a handsome werewolf. He wasn't afraid of the alpha. He stood in front of the old alpha. What's going on here? I heard Soiree. Did you bring back the meat? I brought it back. That's what's important. Don't listen to my father. He's old, and he will be gone soon, and then you will be mine to take as I please. The older wolf cut his eyes on the handsome werewolf. How long will you stay an alpha if you are sending out werefemales to do your hunting? The old wolf growled. The younger werewolf, angry at his father's words, walked over to Soiree, raised her from her position, but put his foot on Hunter's back and stomped on him. Hunter had never felt the foot of a werewolf or anyone, man nor beast. It came as a surprise, and he recoiled in pain. What is this you have brought back to my lair? He's no more than a pup, the younger werewolf said. I'm not a pup, Hunter snarled. The wolf kicked Hunter again, this time more brutal and firmer than before, until he landed at the feet of the old werewolf. Soiree glared down at Hunter, begging him to remain quiet. The young werewolf had knocked the wind out of him. Soiree pulled away. We have meat. He's a great hunter. I've never seen such skills at hunting and killing animals. Where did he get those skills? The younger wolf asked Soiree. Is he here to invade and kill the remaining small pack that is left? He never would have found this place if it wasn't for you sending out Soiree to hunt for us, the old wolf declared. He's not here to spy and kill us. He was lost and he doesn't remember where he came from or what his name is. I call him Hunter because he's the best hunter besides me I've ever seen, Soiree said. The young wolf walked closer to Hunter, lying on the floor holding his ribs where the young wolf kicked him. Hunter's muscles were hard and tough from chasing animals in the forest with his father. He had run and hunted deer, moose, and an occasional bear at an early age. He would heal quickly. Stand up, Hunter, the old wolf said. My son doesn't know how to treat a guest, especially one who can track game where there is no game. We were planning on abandoning this territory because food is scarce, but now you have come along and give my small pack hope. As long as I am here, my son is not to touch you again. The young wolf looked at Hunter with blood in his eyes. Hunter had seen that look before. It had happened when Bane kidnapped him and then dropped him in the middle of the north of Alaska, hoping that he would die, but not by his hands. Maybe he didn't want Hunter on his conscience, if he had one. Infuriated, the young wolf grabbed Soiree by the hair and pulled her into a nearby section of the cave. Hunter heard him tear her clothes from her body, and he heard him tell her that she was his, then heard him tell her to get on her knees. Hunter heard the sound of the young wolf as he reached his climax. Everyone in the cave heard it too. Hunter sat down watching everyone. Hunter, get the meat. I will send one of the wolves with you. If I send my son, I don't think you will be coming back. Hunter glanced around, knowing what the old wolf said was true. He didn't take the chance of meeting the old wolf's gaze. He knew by the young wolf's reaction to his father and to Soiree that everyone was under the control of the old alpha, and the old wolf was still in charge for now, and the young wolf didn't want to fight for control of the pack. The young wolf would have to wait until the old werewolf died to assert his authority. Listening to the callousness of the young wolf's words and obvious brutal nature of the young werewolf, the old wolf wasn't long for this world. Hunter realized that he had to get away from them sooner than he had planned. Hunter would take the young wolf's abuse. He took it month after month. He went out and brought back deer, and he was able to kill a moose, which infuriated the young wolf after each hunt. The taunts and abuse had become more brutal. At first, Hunter thought that he had a broken leg, but it was just dislocated. The young werewolf became angry and went on a tirade, kicking him and abusing Soiree as two of his werewolves stood nearby, ensuring that Hunter wouldn't retaliate. Each time Hunter went out to stalk game, once he captured it, he would bury a portion of the animal in the snow. Some of the snow was beginning to thaw, and he had to think about leaving. Soiree saw that Hunter was exhausted, and on a few occasions she cooked the meat for him. It was directed by the young wolf to give him the intestines. Hunter was forbidden to eat the meat he had caught. He would eat what no one wanted. On one occasion, Hunter could digest the meat from an old moose, so Soiree cooked it for him. When the young werewolf found out, he became enraged, but Hunter reached for the young wolf's arm before it came down on Soiree. The old werewolf had become weakened and sick. The young werewolf was out of control, and took to beating and kicking the other wolves. They were close to revolting, but they were afraid of the young werewolf. It became glaring to all that Hunter was the one keeping all of them alive, and not the young werewolf who wanted to become the alpha. Hunter stood toe-to-toe with the young wolf as all watched on, afraid to make a move. "You are not going to touch her again," Hunter said, meeting the young werewolf's dark, explosive eyes. "And who are you to stop me? Some abandoned mongrel someone didn't want." "I'm Hunter Samsa. My father is the alpha of all alphas, Wilder Samsa. And you are nothing. You send females to hunt for you, and then you mistreat them. If you are such a big shot, and your father is the almighty Wilder, why are you here and cowering when I beat and kick you? Where is he now to protect you from me? I need no one to protect me from someone the likes of you." I stayed to help Soiree. Hunter turned and looked at Soiree as she hunkered down with her hands over her head to protect her from the blows of the young wolf. "Soiree, come with me." Hunter held out his hand. "She won't go because I won't let her. I'm her mate. She is bound to me for as long as she and I live." Hunter dropped the young wolf's hand, took one step back, and shifted into a large white wolf. "She will be leaving with me now. Either you let her go with me, or you will not be alive to protest." The young werewolf broke into a howl of laughter. The young wolf changed in a second to a menacing werewolf. He was larger than Hunter in his werewolf form, standing 6 feet high on all fours. He was a mature wolf, and Hunter could see that when the young werewolf drew his lips back and showed his sharp incisors. Neither werewolf knew how deadly the other was. They walked in a circle, eyeing each other, and trying to gauge each other's fitness for a fight. "Go now, Hunter. You can't beat me and my pack. I'm giving you a way out." Hunter knew the young wolf wasn't that generous. There was no way he would let him walk out of the cave, or if he did, he knew that he could fall prey to him huddling in a cave running from the freezing cold of the night. Hunter had to end this now. He spied the young werewolf with his sharp eyes. The young werewolf appeared intimidating in his wolf form, but he was the one that was soft. The time Hunter had lived with them, he had hunted and fought off wolves, killed a moose. The young werewolf had stayed in the comfort of his cave, lying around with the were-females. The young werewolf had no taste for a hunt. He had no taste for blood. He had a taste for sex. Hunter had grown and matured into a werewolf with the taste of blood in his mouth from all the hunts, his muscles hard and his body lean from the lack of too much food. The young werewolf gorged himself on the meat that Hunter brought back, and he lay around eating and fucking the entire day, month after month. Looking at the young werewolf brought a smile to Hunter's face. When the young wolf saw his smile, it enraged him, and he rushed Hunter with all the intentions of landing a killer blow. Hunter leapt to the side with the same smile on his handsome face. "What? You don't have the instincts to kill your own kind. Did that soft living teach you that?" The young werewolf mistakenly said. Then he rushed and leapt in Hunter's direction, but Hunter stood, and with one large powerful paw and long nails, made one swipe across the young wolf's chest. The young wolf looked down, and he couldn't believe the gash that Hunter had placed on his thick fur. Blood oozed down the right side of his body, but he remained on his feet. "Is that all you can do?" Hunter knew that he had wounded him, but he didn't know how severe the wound was. Soiree and his father watched in silence and terror. When the young wolf tried to take a step, he limped, because no one had seen Hunter take a piece out of the young wolf's hind leg. "Come with me, Soiree," Hunter pleaded. He held out his hand once more. "I'll take you with me. You don't have to stay here and let this poor excuse for a werewolf treat you like a dog. Where I come from, we treat were-females with respect." One more rush at Hunter, and the young werewolf stood with only one eye. Hunter had gouged it out in passing. "Stop," the old wolf shouted. "He's my only son. Don't destroy him." Hunter didn't want to kill him, because he would have done that on the first attack. Hunter looked the old wolf in the eyes. He had made his point. He wasn't just any werewolf. He was the son of Wilder. The alpha of all alphas. Hunter held out his hand to Soiree once more, but she never came to him. She moved near the young werewolf, and he angrily waved her off. "I can't go with you." "I belong here with my kind," Soiree said, taking a step back. Turning and walking away, Hunter grabbed some furs as he walked through the entrance of the cave. He had stayed too long in hopes that he could take Soiree with him, but she was bound to the young werewolf. Hunter had damaged him and made him less than himself in Soiree's eyes. When she looked at Hunter, it wasn't as before with fondness, it was with hatred. No matter how Soiree acted as if she cared for Hunter, it was only because he could provide for her pack, and for her soon-to-be alpha. Hunter wasn't worried about the other werewolves or the old wolf. The old werewolf had seen better days, and they were behind him. The other werewolves saw a superior werewolf in Hunter. In fact, they had never seen one the likes of Hunter. He trotted along to the places he had buried the meat. The first one near the cave had been dug up and taken, but there were other places, he thought. Then he went to the next site. The meat wasn't there either. It was Soiree. She had watched him, then went back and stole his meat. Now he was once again in the tundra without food and shelter, but he did have clothing. Chapter 15. Ducks and geese were plentiful in January. Another year, Hunter thought as he wandered from cave to cave, trying to find his way south, always traveling when he knew he could find food. He didn't particularly care for wild ducks, but now it became a necessity. "You never know what you will eat until you are hungry," his father Wilder had said. Hunter wished he had come across larger animals, but weak as he was, he couldn't chase them down. He had walked and run miles in the days after he left Soiree's cave, looking for shelter and always for food. Hunter watched the weather, looking for stars as he made his way south. He was sure he had traveled over 3,000 miles in that time. Groggy and dead tired, he came from out of the thick forest and walked onto a highway. A large white truck's tires screeched, but before he could dash to the side of the road to get out of its way, the truck hit him and threw him into the brush. When he opened his eyes, a large husky man with red hair and face stood over him. What the hell are you doing out here? There's nothing for miles on this road. Are you okay? Hunter shook his head and stood. You are a tall one. Hunter had grown 3 inches since he left home. He was 6 feet 3, taller than his father, and maybe the height of Drayton. Looking at the burly man in the red and black lumberjack shirt, Hunter's eyes opened and closed. What are you doing out here with just a coat on? You don't have shoes or pants. When Hunter didn't respond, he put Hunter's arm over his shoulder, then helped him out of the ditch and into the cab of his truck. There's no hospital for hours. I hope you last long enough to get to the next town. I'm okay. The driver glared at Hunter. You sure, boy? My name's Hunter. He feebly held out his hand. My name's Sam. I haul lumber along this highway. Good thing it's light, I never would have seen you in the dark. My name is Hunter Samsa. Do you have a phone? We're too far from civilization, Hunter. We won't be able to use a phone until we get to a truck stop. That's another 1,000 miles. I don't use the thing myself. He looked at Hunter. Look in the back for a pair of pants, shirt, and shoes. I don't guarantee that they will fit, but they will have to do for now. I guess you're not too picky. Where are you going? Hunter asked, reaching in the bag and pulling out a shirt and pants. I'm taking a load of lumber to Fairbanks, and then I'm heading back up north. You're more than welcome to ride along with me. Hell, I need the company. If you don't ask me any questions about my private life, I promise you I won't ask you any. That's a deal, Hunter said. I don't have a razor. That beard looks awfully long, but you youngsters seem to like it like that. In style, I understand, Sam said, smiling and turning to watch the road. Almost lost my load when you walked out in front of me. Hunter didn't respond. He just looked around as if it was the first time he had seen a road. Sam drove through the night with Hunter barely saying a word, and then early in the morning he pulled his rig into a truck stop. I don't have any money and I'm hungry. If you give me your address, I'll pay you back and I'll help drive, Hunter said. The money isn't a problem. I figured I owed you a breakfast, seeing I was the one who hit you. Are you okay? If you feel like you need to see a doctor, I think I can find one. The red-faced man pulled a 20 out of his pocket and handed it to Hunter. Hunter took it and nodded his appreciation. I'll still buy you breakfast. Keep your 20 on you just in case. A man needs some money in his pocket, otherwise he's in trouble. Hunter thought his troubles were over. All he had to do was use a phone, call his father and mother, then his nightmare would be over. Sam brought the truck to a full stop and jumped out at the same time with Hunter. They met up together, heading for the entrance to the cafe. You look tired, Sam. I can drive, Hunter said, opening the door to the restaurant and letting Sam go first. Do you know anything about a four-wheeler? No, but how hard can it be? Hunter questioned. After what he had been through, everything else would be easy. The red-faced man looked at him and shook his head. The arrogance of youth, he thought. They tramped over to the first booth they saw and sat. Both men were tired and worn out. You young men think you can do anything. I like that about you, Hunter. But you can't do anything until you've lived in the wilds of Alaska like I have. No running water. Barely any shelter, and I had to hunt my own food, not to mention using the toilet outdoors. I could tell you stories, but I'll save that for the road. Sam's face lit up as he gave a light chuckle. The waitress came over, holding a coffee pot, and set 2 large cups on the table. A slim blonde about 25 stood over them. As she poured both coffees, she said, "The usual, Sam?" He shook his head. Hunter saw the fatigue on Sam's face. And you, hun, what do you have? She looked at Hunter with a big smile. Since he had gotten his taste of females, he was flattered that a woman found him attractive. She looked at him the same way Soiree had, but now all he thought about was Katy. He never stopped thinking about her. "I'd like a steak." "Maybe two," Hunter said, giving her a smile as he stroked his beard. "How would you like your 2 steaks?" "Brah. I think it's against the health laws, but I can tell the cook to drop them on the fire for a second." "That sounds good." The waitress turned and headed in the direction of the galley. The door swung open as she entered, and when she was exiting, she and the cook were looking in Hunter's direction. No doubt the cook wanted to see who would eat 2 large raw steaks. His expression was none too friendly. He walked back into the kitchen with a wrinkled forehead, and Hunter's sharp ears picked up the conversation. "What is he?" the cook said. "I've heard of." She interrupted him. "Just drop them on the fire, Rob. You don't have to like the guy." And the waitress waited a few minutes and bounced out to Hunter's table, holding a large platter containing the largest steaks and a baked potato. "It took a little doing, but I got him to drop them on the grill. Here." She placed the steaks in front of him. Hunter looked at Sam with a hidden smile as he cut and devoured the steaks in less time than it took to bring out Sam's ham and eggs. "You weren't kidding, you were hungry. Can I get you something else?" she questioned. Hunter glanced at her name tag. "Crystal. Your name is Crystal." "I like that," Hunter said, returning her smile. He put his finger across his mouth. "Do you have a cell phone I can use?" "I left mine at home. It's the only one around. We have maybe 50 people in this town, and none of them has a phone. We don't have a phone here either. If you stay over, I'm getting off in 15 minutes, I can let you use it. What do you say?" Hunter looked to Sam. "I can't wait. As soon as I finish my toast, I'm out of here," Sam said. Hunter had to make a decision. Go with Sam to Fairbanks, which would take another 5 hours, or call home and wait for his family to come for him. This would be one of the many crushing decisions of Hunter's life. "I'll go with you," he said, falling for the charming young blonde. "I think she's sweet on you, Hunter. If I was a young man, I would probably make the same decision, but watch yourself. A man can find all kinds of trouble when he follows a woman. You have to know who the right woman is. Some women will be good and some will be bad," Sam said, swallowing his last dregs of coffee and leaving a tip. Hunter wasn't listening. All he thought about was getting home to Katy and sleeping in his warm bed once more. Sam talked, and nothing struck a chord with Hunter. "You can't call yourself a man until you have endured what I've lived to talk about. Why I even ran across a werewolf. That reminds me, in the same spot I hit you. You do believe in werewolves?" Sam said, cocking his head to the side, studying Hunter. "Most people don't. They think I'm crazy. Do you think I'm crazy, Hunter?" "No, Sam." Hunter's eyes were focused on Crystal. Hunter didn't answer Sam when he said, "Be careful." He had his mind on hearing his mother and father's voice, and the time it would take to hold Katy in his arms. "I'll be outside in the old white Honda, the one with the rust," Crystal said, gazing at Hunter. She picked up her tip and walked out. Sam and Hunter stood at the same time. The cook glared over at Hunter from the kitchen window. Hunter shook Sam's hands. "Thank you, Sam. For everything." They walked out of the restaurant together, stood for a few seconds, and parted. As Hunter walked to the Honda where Crystal waited impatiently, Sam stopped and yelled, "Remember what I said." Sam climbed into his cab after checking his load of lumber. Hunter nodded. He didn't hear or remember Sam's words. His mind was crowded with anticipation and thoughts of home.